Once I bought a wood whistle, but it wouldn't whistle. So I bought a steel whistle, but it still wouldn't whistle. So I bought a copper whistle and a lead whistle, but the copper wouldn't let me whistle. So I bought a tin whistle. Now I can whistle. I'm Stoner Ericson from Ericson Design Company. Let's build something. Oh, my bad.
Pretty funny, right? That's an old wood whistle poem. I'm not sure who wrote it, so if you know, please comment below about it. This week, we're gonna build some wood whistles. Now, it's also a tribute to my pops. My whole life, my father built wood whistles, amongst all other things. And he had this cool little shop next to the side of the house where he took the time and patience to teach me how to respect tools. I can't thank him enough for that, but they actually would call him the wood whistler man. And he always had a wood whistle around his neck, and he would sell them at fairs and give them to kids, and it was just a cool token that he always had in his life. So I thought I'd build one. A week or two ago, I was like, you know, I'll go out in the shop and figure it out real fast. And about 45 minutes later, I actually had to call him because I was rushing it, and there were some things that I just couldn't get because I thought it'd be so simple, and it really wasn't. So we're gonna go over some of those right now. So let's design it. So we'll get you in here. We'll draw it in 2D. Now, this is just gonna be a 2x4, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna hog out for the dowel. Now we're gonna use a 5/8 inch dowel on this. You could use a 1/2 inch or 3/8 or whatever you have. We're gonna hog that out. Then we're gonna make a down cut about 1 inch back and about 1/8 through the wood whistle. Then we're gonna come 45 degrees off of that and make where the wood whistle will get its sound from. Now, what's gonna happen is, next we're gonna make the dowel or the reed. So we're gonna take our 5/8 inch dowel and we're gonna flatten the top of it. Now you can do that a couple different ways. You could sand it off, you could plane it off, you could cut it off. And we're gonna take that dowel and we're gonna set it in this hole. Now, you're gonna blow on the wood whistle, and air is gonna be forced in, and it's gonna be forced over this edge, the 45 edge. It's also gonna be forced down and back through here, then back up the edge. Kind of like when you blow over the top of a bottle, it goes down, and then as it comes across the top of the bottle the other side, that's what makes the sound. So here's the things that I didn't realize when I thought I could do everything without my father's help, which I was wrong. The placement of this dowel, forward or back, will change the tone of the wood whistle. The distance from the top of the dowel to the top of the whistle will change the airflow of the wood whistle. So you can actually, as you get the whole board, set the dowel in there and blow on it and bring it forward and back, and that'll change the tone. You can get the tone that you really like. Now there's also a thing called the birth of the whistle, which I didn't realize until it happened to me 50 times. When you blow in the dowel, the whistle the first time, sawdust kicks back out and straight into your eyes. So that's no good. But it's called the birth of the whistle, and so when it happens to you when you build this, say, that whistle's birth. So stick around in this video. We're gonna build a couple other cool things. You're gonna have to wait and see what they are. So I'm Stoner Ericson from Ericson Design Company. Let's build something. Ta-da! So my father encouraged me to find a piece of wood that had some value, so me and my beautiful wife went out to our ranch property that we're building, and I found this piece. And I'm going to be building these with just hand tools here, just to show you that you don't have to have a bandsaw or a bunch of fancy drill presses to do this. So I just drilled out the hole with a 5/8 paddle bit, and then I'll just take my jigsaw and freehand the top cuts right out of it. You know, I'm going to plane off the dowel instead of sand it. Now, if you're forcing this dowel, it means it's too tight. Just sand the dowel a little bit. And this is the time where you can get the sound you want out of the whistle by putting the dowel in a little bit farther back. So this is the time to test it and get the exact sound you want. And then I'll just mark it, and then I'll glue it in. I've been using a lot of CA glue, which is kind of expensive and kind of hard to get for me. So I actually been switched to this Taipan quickset glue, and I think it's better. It gives me about 15 minutes to work with it instead of 30 seconds. So I do like it. I'll just cut off the dowel and cut it to length. And there you go. Wood whistle number 1. All right, pretty simple, pretty fun, right? You know, you can do anything you like with this. You can make it out of 2x4, scrap wood, and you can make it as nice as you want. You could sand the edges. My father would flatten the bottom and the tops of his and put a hole in the back for a nice leather strap around the neck and polyurethane it. You could take burn letters into it for people's names. So that's up to you guys. Do what you like. Now, we're gonna bump it, the same concept up a notch. We're gonna build a train whistle, right? And we're gonna need it some 3/8 inch dowels. So let's build a dowel jig. That way, when you're at the shop and you have a lot of scrap, you can make your own dowels. You don't have to buy them. So we're gonna take a piece of 1/4 inch steel, okay? Let's get you in here. And we're gonna lay it out to where it's 1/4 inch apart. And we're gonna find the center. Then we're gonna take 3 drill bits, an 1/8 inch, a 1/4 inch, and the 3/8 inch. We're gonna start by drilling out all of the spots with the 1/8 inch. Now this just gives us a guide to go on. Then we're gonna come back and drill out the 1/4 inch spots, okay, on all 3 of them. Then we're gonna come back and we're gonna drill out the 3/8 all the way through the center. Now, what this is gonna do is it's gonna give us our 3/8 inch hole, okay? And then a 1/4 inch hole and a 1/4 inch hole. Now, these edges, these sharp edges in the steel are going to catch on the wood and drill it out. We'll make 2 relief holes, not all the way through, that are 1/4 inch, that'll also have a sharp edge in the dowel. And then as we go down, we have our dowel maker. So let's do that. Stick around. So I just had a piece of steel laying around the shop, so I'm just gonna use that. I'll lay it out and I'll take a nail set and give me some guide holes so that my 1/8 inch drill bit doesn't want to wander on the steel. And it'll just make it a little bit easier to do. And I'm drilling into my workbench here, but that's okay. I replace that about once a year. Now I use dowels on a lot of things, a lot of joinery, especially covering up my Craig Jigs holes. Now if you were to buy one of their little dowel boxes, it's $5.99. So I think there's 30 in there. So you can get this piece, I think, you know, for 10 bucks, and you can make as many dowels as you want. And, you know, you don't need to make super long dowels either. You can just take some scrap wood you have laying around the shop and cut it down to 7/16 square, and then shave off the edges and make kind of like a pencil point on the starting point. And then you can make a whole box of dowels just to have if you need them. That's what I do. So I'll chuck it up in the drill, and I don't want to force this. You don't want to push on this too hard. You just kind of want to let the steel cut it out nice and slowly. So don't force it. Now I'll just take some sandpaper and run it through the drill with the sandpaper, and there you go, a homemade dowel maker. All right, now that that's done and we have our own dowel production line, don't think you need to make long dowels either. You can just do 10-inch dowels and cut them down. The longer the dowel through that hole, the more wobbly it gets in the bottom, and it'll blow out and bust up in your face. So let's design the train whistle. So it's the same concept as the wood whistle times 4. We're going to take a 2x4 and make it 1.5 by 1.5, right? Then we're going to cut an inch off the front. Boom. Now we have the front piece up here. Okay, and save that piece because it's important. Now, with our 1.5 by 1.5, let's just say by 6 inches, we're going to drill out 4 3/8 dowels. Now the depth of the dowel is important because we want them to sound different. And remember how deep this went can change the tone. So we'll take one back to 4 inches, one back to 2 3/4, one back to 6 inches, and one back to 2 inches. Now as we blow into there, and we'll do the same thing here with the 45. Now as we blow into theirs, the air will be split and divided between those 4, making 4 different tones, which is the train whistle. The piece that we cut off on the front is important. We'll take a Forstner bit and we'll hog it out, okay? And then we'll come back with a chisel and cut out almost 1/8 of an inch over to the edge. Now that's all gone, okay? Then we'll drill a 3/8 inch hole on the front and then glue it to the front of the train whistle, right? And then when you blow into that one hole, it'll split the air between all 4 wood whistles and make the train whistle, different sounds. So pretty fun project. Let's build it. So I'm just going to start by squaring up a 2x4 cutoff of 1.5 by 1.5. Then I'll just nip off the front at 1 inch and I'll save that piece. Next I'm going to lay out where the dowels are going to go. I'm just going to freehand about 1/8 of an inch on the sides for the front to stick on with glue. And then I'll take and make just 4 squares. Now I am going to start with a smaller drill bit here just to stay straight, and then I'll come back with a 1/4 inch and then 3/8 so that those larger bits don't want to wander. I'm just staying straight, eyeballing it off the top of the table. I could put a level up there, but I'm just trying to keep my drill as straight as I can since I'm not using a drill press. Now that I got the different depth of the holes drilled, I'm going to lay out the 45 cut. So I'm going to come back about 3/4 of an inch and then mark the center of each side. And then I'm going to use a speed square to just make a 45-degree guideline up. So I'll have an easy place to notch out. Now I have a scrap piece of 45-degree angle cut of 2x4 just so I can lay the 2x4 against it to prop it up at 45-degree angle, and then I could just cut 1/8 of an inch into each one of those dowel holes. Now I'll just notch it out, and now you can see the relief hole for the whistle. And here's the dowels that we made. I'm going to run them over to the belt sander and just kind of sand the tops flat. You could use anything here, again, any kind of sander will do. So here's the time you're going to actually make the sound that you want by placing the dowel in and getting it to the right angle and the right depth. I am using this glue again. I got 15 minutes to work with it so I can pull it in and out. And then I'll mark the top of it so when I do glue it back in I kind of know where to go, and then I can fine tune it from there. I did this with super glue the other day and got super glue all over my lips. No good. And I just want to make sure there's no glue on the flat part of the top of the dowel. That way I don't have to clean it up with a file or anything at the end. Now I'm going to hog out the part for the front of the whistle. I'm using a 1 1/4 inch drill bit here. I probably should have used a 1-inch. I did blow this out when I was chiseling it out, but I just glued it back on. But the drill bit wants to send this piece of wood into my fingers, so I'm going to just clamp it down so it can't kick back on me and just drill it out a 1/2 inch. And I'll just take a chisel and clean it up. But first I'm going to run an 1/8 inch hole down the center of it and then a 1/4 inch hole. That way it doesn't want to blow out either. And just chisel it out. This is the part that's making equal airflow into the 4 whistles. And then I'll just glue it on and give it a test. Wood whistles to the max. We made the regular wood whistle, we made a dowel jig, we made a train whistle. Let's do the last and final, let's do a referee's whistle. How hard could that be? Let's design it. Come on in. Alrighty, Aphrodite. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of 1/2 inch oak or a hardwood and 2 pieces of 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch hardwood for the sides. Let's get rid of this here. Now, here's our piece of wood, okay? We're going to come back 2 3/8 inch. We're going to come back 1 1/8 or down a 1/2 inch and over 1 1/8. Then we're going to take a fender washer, which is 1 1/4 inches, and we're going to set it right here, okay? And then we're going to hog out that with a 1-inch Forstner bit, leaving this guy with the hole in the center of it, right? Then we're going to cut down this guy with the width of the blade. This should be about a 1/16 inch. And then we're going to cut 60 degrees off of this side. We're going to straighten this out. And now, what we have is a ref's whistle, right? Air will flow in through here. It'll whistle around and be kicked out that edge. We'll also cut out of the 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch sides, basically just the sides. And then we'll glue that together and we'll make a ref's whistle. And if we had like a little P or something to put in there, we would make the sound of a ref whistle. So let's build it. So I went ahead and 3D modeled this. It seems like everyone likes it and it's fun for me to do. That way you can get a kind of a 3D picture of all the pieces. I have some 1/2 inch oak around the shop and some 1/4 inch oak around the shop, so I'll lay it out 2 3/8 at the back, 1 1/8 on the front, and a 1/2 inch thick whistle nipple. And I'll just bore out the center of it. This is actually a pretty simple whistle. I thought it would be a little harder. Now I'll just jigsaw this out. If I had my bandsaw or the scroll saw, it'd be a little easier, but this is just a show. You don't have to have all those big tools to do this fun kind of stuff. I didn't cut all the way through it before I made the 60-degree cut and the relief cut in the front of the whistle. And then I'll just finish that cut. It's only about a 1/16 of an inch. And I'm going to cut that top piece back to where it will let the air kick back up over the whistle. Now I'm going to cut the side pieces here after I give it a quick sand. We do want the top 2 pieces that face together really smooth. Now I'm going to lay out the sides and I'm going to use a little blade as a 16-inch gap in between the 2 of them, and then I'll just rough cut those out. I'm going to cut them rather larger then, and then I'll sand them either on a orbital sander or a bench sander. Now before I glue them up, I'm going to give them a quick sand on the sides that are facing in. I'm going to use a little CA glue because it dries instantly, just to kind of glue it together, the one side. clamp it together. I'll test the whistle. I like the way it sounds. And I'll just glue it up and put a clamp on it. Shop, and we're just going to give it a quick sand on the oscillating sander to bring it to that edge, and then she's complete. Now, I don't have a little P to put in this guy, but you know, if you have one, it's kind of fun. You can paint this black and spruce it up as much as you'd like. Put a little dowel on the back and a little whistle, you know, a little wood whistle. And you know, the classic, just a rustic one. Make this as fancy as you'd like. And then the simple 2x4. And with that dowel jig, you could make these and hand them out to the kids and tell them to go to one side of the house and make whistle calls to the front side of the house. And the train whistle is always fun. So that's my tribute to my pops. He was the wood whistler. He's the coolest guy in the world, and I can't thank him enough. If you do like videos like this or have any challenges, please comment below. Give me suggestions. I'd love to build something cool for you. So also subscribe and share. You know, I'd love for you to share this video with someone who might make their day. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stick around for more videos. I'm Stoner Ericson from Ericson Design Company. Let's build something. Ta-da!